Welcome back and thank you so much for staying with us here on SA Today. Now, Nelli Senwametsi, a Carletonville crèche employee who was captured in 3 videos which went viral on the 4th of April 2019, has been convicted of 2 counts of common assault and 1 count of assault with intent to cause grievous bodily harm. This happened in the Oberholzer Regional Court yesterday. The advocacy manager for women and men against child abuse, Ngaa Murombedzi, joins us now live via Skype to take the discussion further. Good afternoon to you, Ngaa. Thank you so much for joining us here on SA Today.
Good afternoon, Palesa, and thank you very much for having me.
Now, we know that your organization, WMACA, has been very vocal on this matter. Your take on the conviction?
Yes, so we followed this matter since it broke in 2019, and it has not been an easy journey because there have been numerous systemic issues. If you remember, we had a problem with the investigating officer, the prosecutor was changed, statements were not collected. So to reach this point, with the case now being led by Advocate Mahwata, for us as an organization, this represents a victory for numerous children whose voices go unheard, whose abuse is not captured on camera, as in this case, and who literally have nobody to fight for them. And we maintain that the abuse of young children, and in particular toddlers, like we see here, children being beaten by Nelli Senwametsi, is the worst kind of thing that can happen, because from a neurological development aspect of it, there is long-term impact that can happen. So I appreciate that the magistrate took into consideration and included and found Senwametsi guilty of a count of assault GBH. We would have wanted to see as an organization at least 2 counts of assault GBH for the 2 children, the young girl and the young boy, where we can see direct assault to their heads, because the neurological impact of that is something we are very concerned about.
And talking about what you would have wanted to see, I was actually looking at these convictions, and my understanding is that there is that clear distinction in criminal law between common assault and common assault with an intent to do grievous bodily harm. So we know that assault GBH sort of carries a heavier sentence, such as imprisonment, whereas your normal common assault is usually a penalty or a fine or so on. So what are you hoping for when sentencing proceedings get underway in September?
Yes, you are correct, Palesa, and we had to emphasize that, and that's why we pushed, and we say that we appreciate that this 1 count at least has been included, because our concern from the way the investigation was going was that Senwametsi was going to be convicted of common assault, and that would have been the biggest insult to these children. And if you remember, on the 29th of May, the advocate asked for a postponement because the state you have to prove the intent. It's assault with intent to cause grievous bodily harm. And that's very difficult to prove, especially at the stage that we had reached, in that the videos had sat with the videographer, with a parent, and by then there is no evidence to support that claim of GBH, and which is why the 1 child, because there is direct physical use of a weapon, and one aspect of establishing GBH is the use of a weapon. She uses a wooden brush to hit the child on the head, and that could have been proven because the evidence in the video is there. So at least that, we now hope that the magistrate is going to take a look at that when pre-sentencing reports are brought in, because children cannot testify for themselves. The state must rely on expert witnesses to give an expert opinion as to why the prison sentence must then be imposed. Without that, the judge can give minimum prescribed sentences. Even with the assault GBH, a mitigation of sentence can take that away. And we are saying that for the state, for expert witnesses that are called, and for the judge to exercise their discretion and take into account the impact, the physical impact this has had on that child. And based on that GBH count, because it's difficult. It's difficult with our law to have the sentence of common assault be carried with the weight or outside of the weight of assault GBH. So we're hoping that assault GBH conviction that she has will be the reason she gets imprisoned, because we cannot accept that she is let out with a fine or anything less than 10 years.
So initially there were reports that Senwametsi would plead guilty to assault charges. Did that happen?
Yes, on the 29th of May, she did plead guilty. She pleaded guilty to 2 counts of common assault, and she didn't plead guilty to the assault GBH. Hence the postponement, because the state had to then prove that this is something that they're bringing forward. They can prove this, and she must be convicted of that. So she did initially plead guilty to the lesser count that carries a fine, and that would have seen her not serving a single day in jail. And she remains to today, even after the conviction, out on bail.
Where are the kids and the parents? Because as you said initially that it wasn't an easy journey for everyone involved in this case. Where are the kids? How are they keeping the parents? Very quickly on this one, Ngaa.
Sure. So the parents have been very pivotal. We want to commend them, because the mothers have been at every single appearance, and it has been over 14 appearances. They tell us that their children struggled but are coping well, and that's now for the social workers to bring that forward. They struggled with anger issues, with eating issues. They struggled to go back to school, but as soon as they had been removed from that environment, the parents tell us that their children are doing much better, almost on the verge of thriving.
All right. We thank you so much for that update. Thank you so much for coming through. Ngaa Murombedzi. She is advocacy manager for Women and Men Against Child Abuse, talking to us about a Carletonville crèche employee. You may remember that video that went viral on social media where toddlers were being beaten up by this crèche employee, Nelli Senwametsi. So she has been convicted of 1 count of common assault and 1 count of assault with GBH as well. So the court proceedings, sentencing proceedings rather, are set for the 10th and the 11th of September. All right, a quick break. More to come after this.